All right, strap in, everybody, because today we are taking a deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
This book, it's been like, I don't know, a financial Bible to some folks.
Yeah.
And super controversial to others.
Definitely.
But no matter where you stand on it, Robert Kiyosaki, I mean, he really got people thinking and talking about money.
Oh, for sure.
I'm excited to really get into his unique perspective on wealth building alongside our expert.
Yeah, what really strikes me about this book is that, you know, Kiyosaki just throws that classic advice, go to college, get a good job, out the window.
Mhm.
And a big part of this comes from his own upbringing. Like, he actually grew up with these two father figures,
Right.
his own dad, who he calls Poor Dad,
Oh, okay.
and then his best friend's dad, the Rich Dad.
Interesting.
And they had, like, totally opposite views on money.
Oh, wow.
So they're contrasting lessons. They really form the core of this book.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
And trust me, some of these ideas are going to, like, really challenge how you think about wealth.
Okay, so two dads, two completely different money mindsets. You've got my attention.
Totally.
I'm already picturing young Robert caught in the middle of this financial tug of war.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where these, like, aha moments start coming in.
Right?
So, for example, he talks about this time when he was a kid working at Rich Dad's convenience store,
Oh, okay.
making a whopping 10 cents an hour.
10 cents an hour.
Yeah, I know.
That's rough.
So you'd think, right, that's a lesson in, like, you work hard, but you get little reward.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible job.
Right. But that's where Rich Dad kind of flips the script.
Okay.
He uses that whole experience to show young Kiyosaki that there's a huge difference between working for money
Okay.
versus having your money work for you.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. It's about seeing the limitations of, like, just trading your time for dollars
Right, right.
and instead building assets, things that actually generate income even when you're not working.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's a financial light bulb moment right there.
Yep. It's this fundamental shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It really sets the stage for everything else in the book.
Oh, cool.
And this is where we get into another key concept, the distinction between assets and liabilities.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm guessing this is where Kiyosaki kind of challenges that traditional idea of a house as like a solid investment.
You got it.
Okay.
He gives this really simple but powerful definition. An asset puts money in my pocket.
Okay.
A liability takes money out.
I like it.
Straightforward, right?
Yeah.
And here's where things get a little controversial, because he argues that for a lot of people, their house, it's actually a liability, not an asset.
Whoa. Okay. I bet that raised a few eyebrows.
All right.
I mean, a home ownership, that's part of the American dream, right?
Right. But his argument is that owning a house, it often leads to this constant drain on your cash flow.
Okay.
You've got mortgage payments, property taxes, repairs, like it all adds up.
It does.
And to really illustrate this, he uses this visual, a cash flow diagram,
Okay.
to compare the impact of a house for Poor Dad versus Rich Dad.
Interesting.
Right. So Poor Dad's income, it just gets eaten up by all these house-related expenses.
Yeah.
While Rich Dad actually uses real estate to generate income, to
Yeah.
build wealth.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this kind of flips the script.
Yeah.
It's like you're not just working to pay for your lifestyle, but you're strategically setting up this system where your money is actually working for you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And this leads us to another really important idea from the book, minding your own business.
Okay.
Now, he's not saying, like, quit your job tomorrow.
Right.
He's talking about building what he calls an asset column,
Okay.
things that generate passive income,
Gotcha.
like rental properties, stocks, or businesses.
So you can still have that steady paycheck, but the goal is to like gradually build up this other stream of income.
Exactly. He
Yeah.
uses this great example of Ray Kroc, the guy behind McDonald's.
McDonald's, okay.
Most people think his business was hamburgers,
Yeah, burgers and fries.
but his real genius was in real estate.
Wait, are you saying that McDonald's is a real estate company disguised as a fast food joint?
In a way, yes.
Wow.
Kroc, he understood that the real value was in owning the land under each franchise.
Oh, that's interesting.
So while he was selling burgers, he was actually building this empire of income-generating properties.
That's a game changer.
Right.
I'm suddenly seeing golden arches everywhere, and I'm not even hungry.
Right. It's about seeing those opportunities that most people miss.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this other really important aspect of wealth building that people often misunderstand, The power of corporations.
Okay, corporations, I gotta admit, that topic usually makes my eyes glaze over a little bit.
Yeah, I get it.
It seems, I don't know, complicated and a little intimidating.
It can be,
Yeah.
but Kiyosaki breaks it down in a way that's actually super relatable.
Okay, how so?
He uses this analogy, Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, stealing from the rich.
Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
So Robin Hood, his goal was to redistribute wealth. Right.
Right,
But
right.
Kiyosaki's argument is that while Robin Hood was all about that, the modern tax system,
Okay.
it often ends up burdening the middle class.
Oh, okay.
While the wealthy, they use corporations to legally shield their assets and reduce their tax burden.
Interesting.
It's like a financial game. And corporations, they're playing by a different set of rules.
Okay, now things are getting juicy.
Right.
So how do corporations actually manage to pay less in taxes? What's the secret?
It all comes down to how the tax system works.
Okay.
So corporations, they can deduct expenses before paying taxes.
Okay.
But individuals, we earn income and then get taxed on whatever's left over.
Oh, interesting.
So learning how to kind of leverage the advantages of a corporation can be a key part of building wealth.
All right, that makes sense.
But I bet there are tons of people out there who read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They learn all these strategies,
Yeah,
but they still struggle to actually make them work.
absolutely.
So what's going on there?
Yeah, what gives?
Kiyosaki addresses this head on in the book.
Yeah.
He talks about these 5 major obstacles that hold people back.
Oh, okay.
And they're not just financial.
Right.
They're really rooted in our psychology.
Oh, this is where it gets personal. All right, let's hear it.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
These inner demons holding us back from financial freedom are fear,
Okay.
cynicism,
Uh-huh.
laziness,
All right.
bad habits,
Okay.
and arrogance.
Wow, that's a powerful list.
It is.
So how do we tackle these head on?
Well, let's start with fear.
Okay, how do we overcome that financial fear factor?
Kiyosaki has this really interesting perspective on fear, particularly when it comes to investing.
Okay.
He uses the story of the Alamo,
Oh,
which is this symbol of like courage against overwhelming odds,
right.
to illustrate a point about failure.
Okay, I'm intrigued. The Alamo, that's a powerful image.
Right.
But how does that connect to, like, investing and overcoming fear?
So think about it. The defenders of the Alamo, they knew they were probably going to lose,
Mhm.
but they stood their ground anyway. Kiyosaki's arguing that embracing potential failure, even expecting it,
Okay,
it's actually crucial for success.
interesting.
It's about seeing setbacks, not as the end, but as learning opportunities.
So instead of being paralyzed by the fear of making, like, a bad investment, we should actually embrace the possibility of making mistakes.
Exactly.
And use them to refine our strategies.
That's the idea.
I like it.
He emphasizes that the truly wealthy, they're not the ones who never make mistakes,
Right.
but the ones who learn from them and keep moving forward.
Okay.
He even quotes John D. Rockefeller, who famously said,
Okay.
I always try to turn every disaster into an opportunity.
Wow, what a powerful mindset shift.
Right. It's about turning that fear into fuel for growth.
Yeah, I love that.
So we've faced down fear. Now what about cynicism?
Cynicism, yeah.
I think we've all met those people who are just like convinced every investment opportunity is a scam.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right. But Kiyosaki, he tackles cynicism head on. He argues that cynicism, even though it sometimes disguises itself as like cautiousness,
Mm-hmm.
it's often rooted in fear, and it can be a major roadblock to financial success.
Yeah.
He says cynics tend to miss out on opportunities
Because they're...
because they're so busy focusing on the negative.
Right. They only see the downside.
Exactly.
So it's about balancing, like, healthy skepticism
Mm-hmm.
with an open mind.
Yeah.
Being able to critically evaluate those opportunities without letting cynicism shut them down completely.
That's it.
Okay.
It's about doing your due diligence,
Mm-hmm.
you know, analyzing the data, making informed decisions, not letting fear call the shots.
Right.
Look for the potential in an opportunity, not just the reasons why it might fail.
Okay.
This reminds me of that story Kiyosaki tells about the sugar plantation closing down
Oh, yeah.
and his friend who refused to learn any new skills.
Oh, right.
It's a perfect example of how clinging to like old ways of thinking can lead to financial stagnation.
Yeah, absolutely.
It ties directly into one of his to-dos. Master a formula and then learn a new one.
Oh, nice.
Because the world of finance is always evolving.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to evolve with it.
Right. So it's about staying curious,
Yes.
being open to new ideas,
Totally.
and constantly upgrading your financial knowledge.
Exactly.
But where do you even start?
Right.
There's so much information out there. It can feel really overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, Kiyosaki is a huge proponent of like seminars and workshops.
Okay.
He even shares this story of how he went to a real estate seminar. Cost him $385.
$385.
Right. And it turned into a multi-million-dollar opportunity for him.
Whoa.
So he encourages people to seek out mentors, experts who can guide you
Okay.
and really accelerate your learning process.
Wow. Talk about return on investment.
Right.
All right. I'm sold on the importance of continuous learning,
Good.
but how does that actually translate into like concrete action?
That's where another really crucial to-do comes in. Pay yourself first. This isn't just about saving money. It's about prioritizing your financial future
Okay.
by putting money towards your asset column before you pay any other expenses.
Okay. I like that. But that's easier said than done, especially when you're starting out and every penny counts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes discipline, commitment to long-term thinking.
Right.
But Kiyosaki really stresses that consistency is key, even if you're only investing small amounts at first.
Right.
He believes paying yourself first should be like an unwavering habit, even when cash flow is tight.
He even mentions times when his own accountant was worried about like unpaid bills.
I know.
But he still prioritized investing in his assets.
Yep.
That takes guts.
It does, but it highlights his unwavering belief in the power of compounding and those long-term benefits of building that asset column.
Okay.
He saw the short-term sacrifices as an investment in his future freedom.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Right.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these to-dos kind of build on each other. You overcome fear to take action.
You embrace learning to stay adaptable.
Right.
And you prioritize paying yourself first to make sure you're consistently building that wealth.
Exactly.
Okay, what about pay your brokers well? What does that mean?
That one's all about recognizing the value of expert advice.
Okay.
Kiyosaki believes that surrounding yourself with like knowledgeable and trustworthy advisors is absolutely crucial for navigating the complex world of finance.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's like having a team of experts who are actually invested in your success.
Right. So finding a financial mentor who, aligns with your values and your investment philosophy.
Yeah.
Someone who can guide you and help you avoid costly mistakes.
Exactly.
All right. That makes a lot of sense.
And that leads us to a concept that might sound a little controversial at first.
Okay.
Be an Indian giver.
Okay. I'm ready to unpack this one carefully.
Yeah.
Because I know the term itself can be sensitive.
We mentioned earlier that Kiyosaki uses this as an analogy to describe like a specific investment approach. But I'm still curious to hear like a more nuanced explanation.
Yeah, you're right to be cautious with the terminology. It's important to understand the context.
Right.
So Kiyosaki uses this phrase, which, is borrowed from like a historical misunderstanding of Native American gift-giving customs.
Right.
To illustrate this concept of seeking out opportunities where you can gain an advantage or get something extra in a deal.
So it's not about like taking advantage of others?
No.
Or being dishonest?
No.
It's more about being like savvy negotiator.
Yeah.
And finding those win-win situations where you can maximize your return.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
It's about being strategic and creative in your investments.
Right.
He tells this story about how he bought a property for $9,000.
Yeah.
And immediately sold it for $25,000.
Wow.
Because he spotted this unique opportunity that everyone else missed. And then he used that profit to buy his dream car, a Porsche.
Okay, now that's an Indian giver move I can get behind.
Right.
It's about like leveraging your knowledge and your skills to create those win-win scenarios.
Precisely.
I like that.
And that story highlights another one of his to-dos.
Okay.
Use assets to buy luxuries.
Okay.
So instead of going into debt for like a fancy car or something,
Right.
you invest in an asset that eventually generates enough income to buy that thing outright.
Right. So it's about shifting your mindset from like consumerism to long-term financial thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
It's about building a system where your assets are working for you, not the other way around.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Now let's talk about another to-do choose heroes.
This one seems a little less about like financial strategy and more about like personal development. What does Kiyosaki mean by choosing heroes?
It's all about the power of role models and mentors.
Okay.
So he talks about how, as a kid, he admired baseball legends
Right.
like Willie Mays and Hank Aaron.
Oh, yeah. Great players.
He believes that having financial heroes,
Okay.
people like Warren Buffett or other successful investors, can inspire us to achieve our own goals.
So it's about like surrounding yourself, even if it's just mentally, with examples of what's possible.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it.
It's about learning from those who have already achieved what you aspire to achieve.
That makes sense.
Study their strategies, understand their mindset. Let their success fuel your own ambition.
Yeah, great idea. Everyone needs someone to look up to.
For sure.
And finally, we have teach and you shall receive.
Yes.
This one really speaks to the idea of like abundance and sharing your knowledge with others.
Kiyosaki believes that generosity attracts abundance.
Interesting.
He tells stories about how whenever he felt financially stuck,
Okay.
he'd focus on giving to others. And somehow, opportunities would always appear.
It's like that saying, the more you give, the more you receive.
Exactly. It's about creating a positive flow of energy and abundance in your life.
I like it.
It also highlights the importance of building a community
Right.
of learners and supporters.
Yeah, we can all learn from each other's experiences
Absolutely.
and help each other on the path to financial freedom.
For sure.
Okay, we've unpacked all 10 of Kiyosaki's to-dos
Yeah.
for building financial intelligence. That was great.
It's a great framework.
But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it goes beyond just general advice.
It does.
He gets into some pretty specific strategies for investing in real estate and stocks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to dig into those
Me too.
in the next part of our deep dive.
Absolutely.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you in part 2.
Sounds good.
Welcome back, everybody, to our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Last time we left off with Kiyosaki's 5 big obstacles to financial success. Fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance.
Right.
Let's tackle these bad boys head on, starting with fear.
How do we break free from that financial fear factor?
Well, Kiyosaki, he has this fascinating perspective on fear, especially when it comes to investing.
Okay.
He actually uses the story of the Alamo.
The Alamo.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is, this symbol of courage against, overwhelming odds.
Right.
To kind of illustrate this point about failure.
Okay. I'm intrigued. I mean, the Alamo, that's a powerful image.
Right.
But how does that connect to investing and overcoming fear?
So think about it. The defenders of the Alamo, they knew they were probably going to lose.
Yeah, they were outnumbered.
Right, but they stood their ground anyway.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki's arguing that embracing that potential failure, even expecting it,
Okay.
is actually crucial for success.
Interesting.
It's about seeing setbacks not as the end of the road,
right.
but as learning opportunities.
So instead of being paralyzed by the fear of making a bad investment,
Yeah.
we should kind of embrace the possibility of making mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
And use those to refine our strategies. Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, I like it.
He emphasizes that the people who are truly wealthy, they're not the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who learn from them and keep moving forward.
Right, that makes sense.
He even quotes John D. Rockefeller,
Oh, okay.
who famously said, "I always try to turn every disaster into an opportunity."
Wow, that is a powerful mindset shift.
Right. It's about turning that fear into fuel for growth.
Yeah, I love that.
So we face down fear. Now what about cynicism?
Cynicism, yeah, I think we've all met those people who are just convinced that every opportunity is a scam.
Right.
It's like they're just waiting for everything to fall apart.
Kiyosaki tackles cynicism head on.
Okay, good.
He argues that cynicism, even though it's sometimes disguised as being cautious, it's often really rooted in fear.
Okay.
And it can be a huge roadblock to financial success.
Right, because you never take any risks if you're too cynical.
Exactly. And he says cynics tend to miss out on opportunities because they're so busy focusing on all the negatives.
Right. They're just looking for the downside.
Yeah, so it's about finding that balance between healthy skepticism and an open mind.
So being able to critically evaluate opportunities without letting cynicism just shut them down completely?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about doing your due diligence,
Right.
analyzing the data, making informed decisions, not letting fear make those calls for you.
Right. Use your head, not your emotions.
Exactly. Look for the potential in an opportunity, not just the reasons why it might fail.
Yeah, I like that.
This reminds me of that story Kiyosaki tells about the sugar plantation closing down.
Oh, yeah, right.
And his friend who just refused to learn any new skills.
Yeah, he just kind of stuck with what he knew.
It's a perfect example of how, clinging to those old ways of thinking can lead to financial stagnation.
Totally.
It actually connects back to one of his to-dos.
Okay, which one?
Master a formula and then learn a new one.
Oh, Oh, I like that.
because the world of finance is constantly changing, evolving.
Right, absolutely.
We've got to evolve with it.
So it's about staying curious, being open to new ideas,
Yes.
and constantly upgrading your financial knowledge.
Exact.
But where do we even begin? There's so much information out there. It can feel really overwhelming.
Well, Kiyosaki is a huge proponent of seminars and workshops.
Okay.
He even shares this story about attending a real estate seminar.
Mm-hmm.
It cost him $385.
$385.
Okay.
And it turned into a multi-million-dollar opportunity for him.
Wow, that's amazing.
So he really encourages people to seek out mentors and experts,
Okay.
people who can guide you and really accelerate your learning.
Wow, that's quite the return on investment.
Right.
Okay, I'm sold on the importance of continuous learning.
Good.
But how does that translate into concrete action?
Well, that's where another crucial to-do comes in.
Okay.
Pay yourself first.
Okay, pay yourself first. We've all heard that before.
Yeah.
But this isn't just about saving money. It's about prioritizing your financial future
Okay.
by putting money towards your asset column before you pay any other expenses,
Right. So like before your rent, before your bills.
if or anything else.
I like that in theory, but it's a lot easier said than done, especially if you're starting out
Of course.
and every penny counts.
It takes discipline, and it takes that commitment to long-term thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Kiyosaki really stresses that consistency is key, even if you're just investing small amounts at the beginning.
Okay.
He thinks paying yourself first should be this, like, unwavering habit,
Mm-hmm.
even when cash flow is tight.
He even mentions times when his own accountant was worried about unpaid bills.
Yeah, no.
But he still put investing in his assets first.
It shows how much he believed in it.
That takes some serious guts.
It does, but it highlights his belief in the power of compounding
Right.
and those long-term benefits of building that asset column.
So he saw those short-term sacrifices as an investment in his future freedom. Okay, I love that.
So I'm starting to see how these two do's all kind of build on each other.
Yeah, they're connected.
You overcome that fear to take action.
Mm-hmm.
You embrace learning so you can stay adaptable.
Right.
And you prioritize paying yourself first to make sure you're consistently building that wealth.
Right. Building those strong financial foundations.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to the next to-do. Pay your brokers well.
Okay, that one's all about recognizing the value of expert advice.
Okay.
Kiyosaki believes that surrounding yourself with knowledgeable and trustworthy advisors
Right.
is crucial in the world of finance.
Yeah, it could be a complicated world.
It can be. So it's like having this team of experts
Right.
who are actually invested in your success.
So finding a financial mentor who aligns with your values, your investment philosophy, someone to guide you and help you avoid those costly mistakes.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And that leads us to a concept that might sound a little controversial.
Okay, here we go.
Be an Indian giver.
All right, I'm ready to unpack this one carefully.
Yeah, it's important to be mindful of the language here
Mm-hmm.
and to understand the context.
Right, because the term itself can be a little sensitive.
Exactly. So Kiyosaki, he uses this phrase,
Okay.
which, it comes from a historical misunderstanding of Native American gift-giving customs
Right, right.
to illustrate the concept of looking for opportunities where you can get something extra in a deal
Okay.
or get an advantage.
So it's not about taking advantage of other people?
No, not
Or being dishonest.
No.
It's more about being a savvy negotiator.
Yes.
And finding those win-win situations
Yeah.
where you can really maximize your returns.
It's about being strategic and creative in your investments.
Right. Thinking outside the box.
He actually tells this story about how he bought a property for $9,000
Okay.
and then immediately sold it for $25,000
Wow.
just because he saw this opportunity that everybody else missed.
He was in the right place at the right time.
Right, and then he used that profit to buy his dream car,
Which was?
the Porsche.
Nice. Okay, that's an Indian giver move I can get behind.
Right.
It's about leveraging your knowledge and your skills to create those win-win scenarios.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
And that story actually connects to another to-do.
Okay.
Use assets to buy luxuries.
Use assets to buy luxuries. I like that.
So instead of going into debt to buy like a fancy car or something,
Right.
you invest in an asset
Okay.
that eventually generates enough income to buy that thing outright.
Yeah, it's about shifting your mindset from that like instant gratification
Yeah.
to long-term financial thinking.
Exactly.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
It's about building a system where your assets are working for you, not the other way around.
I like it.
Now let's move on to another to-do. Choose heroes.
Choose heroes. Okay, this one seems a little less about financial strategy
Yeah.
and more about personal development.
It is. It's all about the power of role models and mentors.
Mm.
So Kiyosaki talks about how, when he was a kid, he admired all these baseball legends.
Right.
It's like Willie Mays, Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
And he believes that having financial heroes,
Okay.
people like Warren Buffett,
Yeah, those successful investors.
yeah, it can really inspire us to reach our goals.
So it's like surrounding yourself, even if it's just mentally, with those examples of what's possible.
Exactly. Learning from those who have already achieved what you want to achieve.
Right.
You can study their strategies, understand their mindset,
Yeah.
and let their success fuel your own ambition.
Okay, great idea. Everyone needs someone to look up to.
For sure.
And finally, we have teach, and you shall receive.
Yeah, this one really speaks to the idea of abundance and sharing your knowledge with others.
Right, giving back to the community.
Kiyosaki believes that generosity actually attracts abundance.
Okay, interesting.
He shares stories about how whenever he felt stuck financially, he would focus on giving to others. And opportunities always seem to appear.
It's like that saying, the more you give, the more you receive.
Exactly. It's about creating a positive flow of energy and abundance in your life.
I like that.
It also highlights the importance of building a community
Right.
of learners and supporters.
We can all learn from each other's experiences
For sure.
and support each other on this journey.
Yeah, on the path to financial freedom.
Okay, we've officially unpacked all 10 of Kiyosaki's to-dos
It's a great list.
for building financial intelligence.
Yeah.
But Rich Dad, Poor Dad goes beyond just general advice.
It does.
He gets into some pretty specific strategies for investing in real estate and stocks.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dig into those in the next part of our deep dive.
Absolutely.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are in the final stretch of our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And I am ready to get into the nitty-gritty. Like, I want the details, We've talked about this whole idea of building an asset column, but how do we actually make those assets work for us?
Well, if we kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture,
Okay.
Kiyosaki really emphasizes two main avenues for building wealth:
Okay.
real estate and small cap stocks.
Real estate and small cap stocks?
Yeah, so he sees real estate as like this solid foundation,
Okay.
a way to generate steady cash flow
Mm-hmm.
and benefit from appreciation over time.
Right, so it's like planting seeds in your asset column, starting small.
Exactly.
And nurturing those investments as they grow.
Yeah, he makes real estate sound so accessible even for someone just starting out.
He does, but I think a lot of people are intimidated by the whole process.
Yeah, I get it.
Like finding the properties, securing financing, dealing with tenants.
It can seem overwhelming.
It can. So
Yeah.
where do you even begin?
Well, Kiyosaki shares all these amazing stories about finding incredible real estate deals.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he talks about scoring a house for $45,000.
Okay.
That was actually worth $65,000,
Wow.
just because nobody else saw its potential.
Okay, I'm picturing him like scouring neighborhoods for for sale
Yeah.
signs,
I know.
outbidding everyone at auctions.
He's got this knack for, like, uncovering those opportunities that everyone else misses.
So how does he actually find these deals?
Well, he often looks for properties at foreclosure auctions.
Foreclosure auctions, okay.
Or he'll connect with bankruptcy attorneys.
Oh, interesting.
So these are places where you can find those motivated sellers
Mm-hmm.
and potentially snag a property way below market value.
That sounds a little risky though, right?
Yeah, there's definitely risk involved in any investment.
Foreclosure properties, I mean, they can come with a lot of baggage.
They can, but Kiyosaki's point is that it's not gambling if you know what you're doing.
Okay, right.
He's super meticulous about doing his research, understanding the local market, inspecting those properties thoroughly before he even makes an offer.
So it's about being informed, calculated, and
Yeah.
trusting your gut.
Absolutely. Don't just jump into any deal that comes your way.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, so we've talked about real estate. Now, what about those small cap stocks?
Yeah, those seem a lot more volatile and unpredictable.
They can be, but Kiyosaki sees them as this vehicle for rapid growth.
Okay.
He actually prefers to invest in private companies that are about to go public.
Oh, interesting.
He thinks that's where you find the biggest returns.
He mentions this time he bought 100,000 shares of a company
Yeah.
for just 25 cents each.
I know, it's crazy.
Before it went public, and then, like, 6 months later, those shares were worth $2 each.
It's a pretty impressive profit margin.
It is, but small cap stocks, I mean, they come with higher risk, right?
They do, but Kiyosaki, he mitigates that risk by thoroughly researching those companies,
Okay.
understanding their business model, and analyzing their financial statements.
He really emphasizes the importance of financial literacy.
Oh, yeah.
Like being able to read a balance sheet
Yeah.
and identify a company's strengths and weaknesses.
It's not just about picking a company with a name you like.
Right. You need to understand how the business actually works.
Exactly. Knowledge is power when it comes to investing.
Okay, that makes sense.
The more you understand about financial markets and how businesses operate, the better equipped you are to make those smart decisions.
And manage that risk.
Exactly.
And this is where his emphasis on continuous learning comes full circle.
It all ties together.
You got to keep educating yourself, attending those seminars,
Yeah.
reading books, talking to experts.
Never stop learning.
Okay, so we've covered real estate, small cap stocks,
Mm-hmm.
but Rich Dad, Poor Dad goes beyond just investment strategies.
It does.
Kiyosaki introduces this concept he calls the cash flow quadrant,
Yes, the cash flow quadrant.
which has really resonated with a lot of readers.
It's a really powerful framework.
Okay, so break it down for me. What's the cash flow quadrant all about?
It's basically a way of understanding the different ways people earn income.
Okay.
So he divides it into 4 categories: employees, self-employed, business owners, and investors.
So it's about recognizing where you fit in the world of income generation.
Exactly.
Most people are probably in the employee or self-employed quadrants,
Probably. Yeah.
trading their time for money.
Right. And Kiyosaki encourages people to strive for those business owner and investor quadrants,
Okay.
where your income comes from assets and systems, not just your direct effort.
Right. That's the key to escaping the rat race.
Exactly. That endless cycle of working for someone else and trading your time for dollars.
So this raises a really important question. How do you transition from the left side of the quadrant, where
Yeah.
you're working for money, to the right side, where your money's working for you?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
Kiyosaki's book gives us a roadmap.
Okay.
It all comes down to financial literacy,
Okay.
building your asset column,
Hmm.
and developing that entrepreneurial mindset.
So it's not just about how much money you make.
Yeah.
It's about how you manage it, how you invest it, and how you build a system that generates income even when you're not working.
Exactly. It's about mastering the language of money, understanding those financial statements,
Yeah.
and developing the skills to manage and grow your wealth.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad is like a call to action.
It is.
It's a challenge to break free from conventional thinking and really take control of your financial future.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From the 2 dads shaping Kiyosaki's financial worldview
Yeah.
to those thought-provoking to-dos,
Mm-hmm.
and this whole concept of the cash flow quadrant.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. This book has sparked some serious financial soul searching for me.
Me too.
What's one key takeaway you hope listeners will walk away with?
I think for me, it's the power of shifting your mindset from being a consumer to being an investor.
Okay.
It's about breaking free from that cycle of just earning and spending
Right.
and focusing on building those assets that generate income and work for you.
It's about playing the long game and creating a future where money is no longer a source of stress, but a tool for freedom and opportunity.
It's a powerful message.
It is. It's about taking control of your finances, educating yourself,
Yeah.
and building a future where you're not just working for money, but your money is working for you.
Absolutely.
So keep learning, keep investing, and keep building that asset column.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Who knows, maybe one day you'll be sharing your own Rich Dad wisdom with the world.
I hope so.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
It was my pleasure.
We'll see you next time.